Paris, shortly past midnight. A black Mercedes sedan races along the Seine, headlights blurring. Inside, Diana Spencer, the woman once known as Princess Diana, braces herself in the back seat. Flashbulbs explode in the rear window. A pack of paparazzi on motorcycles is chasing close behind. Diana's heart pounds. She's spent all day trying to escape. Escape the suffocating control of the palace, the relentless gaze of the press, even her own inner pain. Now, as the car hurtles into the Pont de l'Alma tunnel, everything she's been running from is about to catch up with her, and the lights are about to go out. August 30th, 1997, the final day of Diana's life, dawns with promise. For the first time in years, she isn't bound by royal duty. A year earlier, Diana had divorced Prince Charles, shedding her title of Her Royal Highness and the formal restraints of palace life. She was no longer a princess, but still the most famous woman in the world. That summer, Diana seemed to be finding freedom at last. She had spent the last few weeks cruising the Mediterranean with Dodi Al-Fayed. The sun was warm, the cameras were far. For once, she laughed easily. The palace felt like another lifetime, but freedom had its price. Every step Diana took was still shadowed by cameras. When Diana and Dodi flew into Paris that afternoon, a crowd of photographers swarmed the airport tarmac. Diana smiled politely, but there was no hiding her fatigue. She had begun this day hopeful, yet the press was already intruding. By 4 p.m., the couple arrived at the Ritz Hotel, owned by Dodi's father, billionaire Mohammed Al-Fayed. In the privacy of the imperial suite, Diana let her guard down. She kicked off her shoes and exhaled. They were finally away from prying eyes. For now. That evening, Diana took time to call her two sons, 15-year-old William and 12-year-old Harry, who were in Scotland with their father. It was a brief, cheerful chat about what they'd been up to and when she'd see them next. The boys, eager to go play, hurried off the call. Diana had no idea this would be the last time she'd ever hear their voices. But she didn't know. Not yet. As Diana hung up the phone, she felt optimistic. After years of heartbreak and media frenzy, she was hopeful to start a new chapter away from the spotlight. She wouldn't get the chance. Night falls on the City of Light. For a few hours, Diana enjoys a semblance of normalcy. Around 7 p.m., she and Dodi slip out of the Ritz's back door for a casual evening together. They retreat to Dodi's nearby apartment, planning to have a quiet dinner at a trendy restaurant, Benoit, afterward. In the cozy confines of the apartment, away from hotel staff and tourists, Diana can finally relax. Perhaps she allows herself to imagine a future free of royal drama, just an ordinary woman in love, exploring Paris on a date night. But outside, they are far from ordinary. Paparazzi lurk on the streets, engines idling. By 8:50 p.m., as Diana and Dodi depart for the restaurant, flashing lights erupt in the darkness. Photographers tail their car through the winding Parisian avenues. With every turn, the sense of being hunted grows. Dodi's frustration boils over. He knows they can't enjoy a peaceful meal with a swarm of press behind them. So he makes a snap decision, abort the restaurant plan, and head back to the safety of the Ritz Hotel. Their driver changes course, peeling away from the paparazzi, at least for the moment. At 9:50 p.m., Diana and Dodi stride back into the Ritz through the front entrance. The lobby cameras capture Diana's polite smile, Dodi's protective hand on her back. Upstairs at the hotel's restaurant, they attempt to salvage their evening. Diana orders dinner and tries to enjoy a quiet meal, but Dodi grows uneasy. He suspects photographers might have slipped in, posing as fellow diners. Unnerved, he asks that their food be delivered to the imperial suite instead. It's a small concession, but it gives them a sliver of privacy. Meanwhile, Henry Paul, the Ritz's security manager, is back on duty to orchestrate their exit. He's had a drink or two to steady his nerves. Outside, nearly 30 paparazzi cluster at the front. The plan is simple. Decoy cars out front to draw their attention, while Henri sneaks Diana and Dodi out a rear door into a waiting Mercedes. Close to midnight, Diana and Dodi are preparing to make their escape. Hotel surveillance catches the couple sharing an elevator down to the rear exit, both of them smiling like teenagers sneaking out after curfew. Trevor Reese-Jones, the couple's bodyguard, accompanies them. Outside, Henri Paul has already walked out front and brazenly taunted the paparazzi, feeding them false info that Diana will emerge from the main door any minute. Some photographers take the bait and stay put. Others suspect a trick and circle around. 12:20 a.m., August 31st. The decoy is in motion. Diana and Dodi slip into a black Mercedes S280 sedan at the rear entrance, with their bodyguard Trevor Reese-Jones in the front passenger seat. Henri Paul takes the wheel. No one buckles their seatbelts. They're in too much of a hurry. As the car revs up, Henry smirks at the cluster of paparazzi now noticing them and reportedly shouts, "Don't try to follow us, you'll never catch us." Then he floors the accelerator. The Mercedes leaps forward into the Paris night. For a moment, it seems they might outrun the photographers. The plan is working. Diana breathes out, watching the city lights streak by through the window. But the relief is short-lived. The paparazzi are relentless. Those on motorcycles roar after them immediately. The chase is on. They blow through red lights as they race along the Seine, determined not to lose their prize. Inside the Mercedes, chaos reigns. Diana grips Dodi's arm. Trevor Reese-Jones braces himself in the front passenger seat, silently praying Henri Paul knows what he's doing. Henri, intoxicated and driving far beyond the speed limit, races toward the Pont de l'Alma tunnel, a road he hopes will finally shake off their pursuers. Headlights flicker as the car hurtles into the tunnel's mouth at over 85 miles per hour. 12:23 a.m. The Mercedes screams into the Alma tunnel, well above the speed limit. In the shadows ahead, a white Fiat Uno appears. Maybe a passing car, maybe a vehicle driven by a paparazzo. No one is sure. Henri Paul doesn't see it in time. The Mercedes clips the Fiat, veering violently off course. In the next split second, the luxury sedan careens out of control. Diana barely has time to gasp. Crash! The car slams into the tunnel's 13th concrete pillar with a force so immense that onlookers outside later liken it to an explosion. Metal twists and crumples like paper. Then, silence. For a moment, there is only darkness and debris. The air is filled with dust and the acrid smell of burnt rubber. A single car horn blares unceasingly into the night, an eerie alarm cutting through the stillness. The paparazzi, stunned by the sudden wreck, screech to a halt. But the shock lasts only seconds. In a cruel frenzy, some photographers leap off their bikes and start snapping photos of the wreckage almost immediately. Even now, with the Princess of Wales slumped in a ruined car, they can't resist getting the shot. Inside the crushed Mercedes, the scene is grim. The front half of the car is a mangled ruin. In the front, driver Henri Paul is dead. Next to Diana, Dodi lies motionless, no pulse. Miraculously, Trevor Reese-Jones is still alive in the passenger seat, though critically injured. Only one person in the back is still breathing. Amid the wreck, Diana is alive, but barely. Not wearing a seatbelt, she was thrown into the seat in front of her with catastrophic force. Now she's sprawled on the floor of the car's back seat, her eyes closed. After endless seconds, she stirs, her voice a faint whisper. "My God, what has happened?" An off-duty French doctor, Frédéric Maillet, happens upon the scene and stops. He finds Diana alive but in shock, kneeling in the wreckage. Not yet realizing who she is, he holds an oxygen mask to her face and does everything he can. Diana murmurs in pain and then falls unconscious again. Minutes later, paramedics arrive and carefully free Diana from the wreckage. At 1:20 a.m., her heart suddenly stops. she's gone into cardiac arrest. Right there on the tunnel floor, medics perform CPR and miraculously bring her back. They load Diana into an ambulance and race toward Pitié-Salpêtrière Hospital. Surgeons try desperately to save Diana, but her internal injuries are catastrophic. Her heart was displaced by the impact, a major blood vessel torn. They fight for hours, but her body's too broken. Outside, word spreads of the accident, and people begin to gather, praying for a miracle. At 4 a.m., Princess Diana is pronounced dead. She was only 36 years old. The world is stunned. It feels impossible that Diana, so full of life, could be gone. As the news spreads at dawn, millions feel a personal loss. Prince Charles and Diana's sisters fly to Paris to bring her body back home. In London, crowds gather outside the palaces to mourn amid oceans of flowers. The outpouring of grief is unlike anything seen before. They called her the People's Princess for how she made everyone feel seen and loved. Now, she was gone. Diana spent her last day on Earth running, from the palace, the press, her own pain. In the end, she couldn't escape. In that Paris tunnel, everything chasing her finally caught up. Her death shocked the world, but amid the heartbreak, her legacy only grew. The tidal wave of grief that followed showed how deeply she had touched millions. The lights went out in that tunnel, but Diana never disappeared. She still walks beside millions as a memory, a warning, and a symbol of grace that wouldn't be erased.